G'day chaps, 'tis I, Clownpuncher139. After my escapades of beating Arkham City with only 16 grapples, I determined that the other 3 games were not worth my time for such a challenge. However, a few wonderful commenters reminded me of the existence of physical challenges. So, for this episode, we're going through every game to see if I can beat their Predator challenges without the use of Batman's grapple gun. The goal of this challenge is simple. Collect every medal possible and clear the room without grappling. For the sake of my sanity, I'll only be going through the ranked levels from the base game as Batman. That means no challenge campaigns, no DLC, and no other characters. I'm looking at you, Arkham Knight. All that said, let's go in order of difficulty and start with Arkham Knight. Despite having some of the most complicated challenges and having the smartest enemies, Arkham Knight was an absolute breeze to play through after what you'll see later. A big advantage to that is that there are only 4 Predator levels to begin with. I literally got all the footage in one take and only 40 minutes long, which basically equates to less than 10 minutes on each map. All the others had multiple recordings and lasted well over an hour at a minimum. But enough stalling. Let's talk about them, starting with Smash and Grab. The only requirement of this mission is to do it fast, that is take out 10 thugs in a minute 15. It took me a couple of tries to nail down the 3-star ranking, but because this is a time trial, it didn't feel nearly as tedious, and was done pretty quickly. The biggest advantage this map has are the grates. For an honestly inexplicable reason, Batman moves lightning fast under floor grates in Arkham Knight, faster than when he's running above them even. So since we start on a perch, I glid down to this lone enemy on the opposite side to take him down through the window, then hopped in a grate to start a long string of takedowns. One in the next room over before being seen and hopping back in the grates to take out another in the next room, then priming and exploding this wall as I got seen. Then I hopped back in the grates and did a 5-count fear multi-takedown to finish the encounter in only 45 seconds, easily earning me the 3 stars. Second map, Terminal Velocity, took a bit longer at about 15 minutes, but the winning attempt took up 5 of those. The goals we have to complete are to use the remote hacking device to take down a thug, take out the minigunner with an environment takedown, and to use a fear multi-takedown through a wooden barrier. Considering there's 1 minigunner, 1 wooden panel, and 2 generators on the field, this would be pretty hard to manipulate. So I had to use the voice synthesizer to the best of my abilities. I started by luring one guy towards the wooden panel after hiding behind it, then doing the multi-takedown while another guy was walking by. I then quickly ducked into the grates in the restaurant and lured the minigun inside to take him down to the fuse box. I got out of there a little shot up and ended up taking out the sentry gun before taking out the tracking guy with a mine. A little waiting, and I took this guy out before remembering I still needed one more challenge and nobody was near a generator. A little more waiting, and I saw this guy heading up the stairs toward one of the generators, so I kinda just had to hope he would head up there, since I had no way of attracting him anymore because the knight found out I was using the synthesizer. Thankfully, he headed the right way, and after a lot of manipulation, I was able to blow up the generator, then take down the last 2 guys and finish the level. Third up was Revive and Shine, by far the longest one to complete for Knight. This one took lots of manipulation and waiting, as the 3 challenges are to perform 2 different fear multi-takedowns, take the medic out last, and not take a single point of damage. I started by waiting for a good amount of time for another enemy to come to this railing so I could get 1 fear multi-takedown, but that never happened. So instead, I knocked this guy out loudly to attract multiple enemies to the area for a multi-takedown. I got 3 and waited for this guy to walk up the stairs so I could silent takedown and recharge the fear. I started to shimmy along the railing again until I saw the message that they'd check ledges, and the medic was looking right at me, so I just fell down. Then, I don't really know what happened, but the medic wasted one of his charges on nothing, and the guy he already revived started talking like he was just picked up. I really don't know, but this glitch meant I would only have 1 less enemy to worry about, so that was kinda nice. So the medic revived 1 more guy, and I was stuck on the bottom layer. So it just took a lot of waiting for the 2 regular militia to walk down so I could use the other fear multi-takedown. It took a while, but they did finally walk down, letting me get the 1st star. Then I just had to wait for the medic to come check it out, and I got the other 2 stars just like that. Last but not least is a Batman 89 reference, Under the Pale Moonlight, which was totally easy. All we have to do is perform a 4 times fear multi-takedown, use the voice synthesizer to lure a thug into a weak wall with explosive gel, and take out the drone controller last. Well, here goes. So I took this lone guy down silently, but the drone caught his body as I was sneaking away, so everyone was alerted to my presence. This meant I lost my height advantage, so I was stuck on the ground for the rest of the level. I glid down to the main area with a couple guys, hoping I could pick some of them off, but someone saw me, meaning I had to waste my smoke. For one reason or another, I couldn't use the fear multi-takedown here, so I took some random guy down with the bat claw instead. While running away, I also got a medic for free and ducked into the vents on the ground. I got one other guy and started sneaking towards the bottom layer, but barely got seen as I was falling down. I hopped into the grates by the drone operator, which had a bunch of weak walls for me to exploit. I primed a few of them to explode, then used the voice synthesizer to lure one guy into the wall, giving me the first star. And I got a second guy sneaking away just for the hell of it. The medic was going to fix this guy up, but someone saw my other work, forcing him over there. To revive the guy as a bunch of militia headed to the location gave me the perfect opportunity for a large multi-takedown. I got 5 guys, easily earning me the second star. Now, it was just a matter of finishing the room except the drone operator. I surprisingly got my smoke back and took a guy down on the stairs with the bat claws. Since nobody else was around, I also took this guy down and waited for the rest of the guys to come up top. I got 2 guys up top here, but got pretty shot up in the process, so I ran and hid, waiting for them to come up top themselves. I froze this guy and took him down with an ice smash, meanwhile battering this guy to take him out for free, which left only one poor soul. I somehow got smoke back again, so just dropped it so I wouldn't get shot up by this guy trying to finish him. I did, and just had to get the controller now, who had by now dropped his drone. I took a little bit to navigate around and sneak up on him since I was still on low health, but I was able to get him, earning the 3rd star and winning me the map. And that was Arkham Knight. Super easy and a much needed breeze to finish this challenge with. As you can see, all 12 stars were able to be obtained, meaning this video is starting off with a perfect score. Let's see if that luck continues into the next game, Arkham Asylum. Asylum was a real mixed bag of a challenge for me. To my surprise, the extreme versions of the maps were generally harder than the regular versions. You'll see why soon enough, but let's take it from the top. First up is the infamous Silent Night, where our challenges are to perform a silent takedown, prime a wall to explode with explosive gel, and knock a guy down with a batarang to take him down on the ground. Super easy stuff you'll see in every Predator encounter. I started by running up to this guy to get the silent takedown out of the way since he was out of everyone's line of sight. Since there were some guys headed toward the ramp, I went back where I came from and headed to the ladder to run around the guys. I then batarang to knock down this guy so people would be attracted to him, allowing me to get the explosive gel medal. It took a bit of waiting, but eventually I just used the sonic batarang to lure a single guy over and knock him out with the wall. I dropped to the bottom to knock out this guy, then decided not to wait for his buddies to realize he was missing, and just headed up with the multi-batarang instead to knock them both out, completing the level and earning me all 3 stars. Next was Record Breaker, another super easy one. The objectives are to perform a ledge takedown, a corner takedown, and pull a guy off the ledge with the bat claw. Once again, all super easy stuff. I started by climbing up the walkway and alerting this guy to come running over to my location, completely on accident by the way. But while he was running over, I climbed over the ledge and patiently waited for him so I could pull him over. 1 down. While everyone started running over, I backclawed this guy off, earning me the 2nd badge just like that. I ran away to the other side of the room and took cover behind the shelves, then used a sonic batarang to lure someone over. I didn't detonate it since I didn't want everyone running over to me. I waited for the guy to destroy it, and thankfully he walked over to the corner, allowing me to take him down, earning me the 3rd badge. For the last 3, I just waited for Joker to alert them, then used the multi-batarang again to take all 3 of them down at once, allowing me to finish them on the ground. Easy 3 badges, and another completed room. Next up, Survival Tactics, where the goals are to smash through a glass ceiling for a takedown, perform an inverted takedown, and to perform a drop attack and finish them off with a ground takedown. All seemingly easy, except for that inverted takedown. In later Arkham games, Batman can climb onto gargoyles by simply making contact with them. In Asylum, however, he can only attach to them via grappling. This means we have no way to do inverted takedowns in Asylum, so any others in this game are immediate failures. It's unfortunate, but our first failed challenge comes here. But I was able to get the rest of them, so let's go through them. I start by land launching over to this side and using a corner cover to take this guy down first. I then climb up the ladder and head up to the control room, using this area I discovered during my testing to climb up for the eventual glass takedown. And I would have gotten it right away if not for me just being too preemptive and pressing the button too early, allowing the guy to escape. I use this freedom to test the gargoyles, and as you can see, you can't get to any of them with the line launcher, so Batman seems to just fall through any he comes in contact with. So I just took the L on that challenge and made my way back up to the control room to wait for the opportunity for the glass takedown. In the meantime, I took 2 guys down with the bat claw. This thankfully lured one guy towards the room, allowing me to take him down and earn one badge. I waited outside the room, just barely out of their line of sight. Somehow I didn't get seen while I'm crouching, and one of the guys jumped down, allowing me to take his buddy out without him seeing. Then I just had to wait for this guy to shoot around the corner and jumped on his head for the final takedown, earning me the other badge and completing the room. Unfortunate that we couldn't get all three, but that's Asylum for you. Of the last normal missions, we've got Invisible Predator, which took me over 7 minutes to complete the first time around. The heck was slightly younger me up to? Regardless, the challenges are to spray explosive gel on the ground to stun a patrolling henchman, take out 3 guys at once with a single explosive gel primed wall, and to jump out of a floor grate to silently take down a henchman. The first try I died almost instantly and had a pretty funny ragdoll. After that I had one more bad try and then was able to get it relatively easily. In fact, despite not grappling, this attempt ended being up over twice as fast as my original completion. I started by silently taking this guy down to alert everyone to this area, allowing me to sneak into the grates below after battering this guy in my way. I didn't take him down since I needed as many guys as possible for the exploding wall. Speaking of, I gelled up the wall in preparation and hopped into the grates, waiting in front of the wall in case this guy stepped up to it. I was left waiting a while, but I couldn't take anyone down just yet, so I waited to be alone on the bottom layer and sprayed some gel on the ground for when they came running around to the grates. Meanwhile, barely avoiding a guy looking over the ledge, scaring the crap out of me. It took a bit more waiting in the grates, but I saw that I was alone in the area, so I threw a sonic batarang at the wall so one of the guys would come to the area. Just before he made it there, my gel went off, which was actually a saving grace because that guy would have caught me otherwise. But I was able to hop out of the grate and take this guy down, which would eventually alert the rest of his guys to his location. And eventually exactly that happened. Joker told his guys his location and 4 of them ran over, allowing me to take all of them down and earn the last badge. Just 2 guys were left and they were easy to sneak up on and take down for the win. That's all the normal maps completed, missing only a single badge. Now though, for the extreme maps. First up, Silent Night Extreme, where the challenges are to glide kick a henchman and take him down on the ground, line launch through a window to kick a thug on the other side, and take down 3 thugs with 3 different explosive gel primed walls. This was by far the hardest level for Asylum. In fairness, I'm sure it's that way regardless of being able to grapple, but taking it away just made this level all that much harder. It took a very long time, but I was eventually able to do it after a 6-minute run. The biggest obstacle here is getting all 3 thugs with the gel walls, as you have to do things completely out of order compared to the normal run of this level. First, you'll want to duck into this vent and prime this wall on the other side to blow. Then, run back and climb the ladder by spawn, waiting as long as necessary for the coast to be clear. This could take well over a minute of waiting, but it's necessary as the thugs will then reset to where they would be if you would just start the level. Make sure you line launch under the walkway, not hitting any of the support beams like I did, then run over to the other side so you can see the wall. Now you have to act very quickly. Throw a sonic batarang as close to the wall you primed to blow as possible, then crawl back to the ladder you walked by and prep the line launcher. Launch over and prime this ceiling to blow, then quickly launch over to the other side and prime this last wall to blow. As you launch across, the thug should just be reaching the sonic batarang, giving you just barely enough time to prime. By now the ceiling thug will be alerted to your presence and walk back into the room. Blow him up and run away before anyone can investigate. Congratulations, you're only a third of the way done. Now repeat the process for getting over to the weak ceiling, but this time aim for the little alcove on the other side, so you have more vertical coverage. Carefully drop onto the ledge below, and wait for a thug to be in range of a glide kick. Kick him down, knock him down, and earn the second badge. Repeat the weak ceiling process once more and throw a sonic batarang inside. Launch back to the other side and wait for a thug to head inside. Unfortunately, I completely missed my first launch and had to run down to the bottom floor to hide. So I did, and repeated my own process to get another guy next to the windows, albeit I had to wait a bit for the sonic batarang to recharge. This time I threw it outside and hid inside the room for a thug to wait outside. I was way too close to death when I kicked him down, but I hit him, knocked him out, and only had one more to go. My heart was racing a million miles an hour, but I got him down and completed the room with all 3 badges. Next is Record Breaker Extreme, which was honestly just as easy as the regular Record Breaker because the goals were all gadget based. We have to kick 2 thugs with the line launcher, hit 3 henchmen with a remote batarang, and use a sonic batarang to knock 1 guy out. Aside from the remote batarang, all of these were usually in easy mode. The reason the Asylum quote-unquote extreme maps are generally pretty easy for this challenge is because they already disincentivize grappling in the first place. The vantage points of every extreme level are rigged to blow, like they were in that one level in Intensive Treatment. So the designers had to come up with challenges with that in mind. And aside from the previously mentioned Silent Night, these levels proved just as easy as their regular counterparts because of that. Now, admittedly, this level isn't completely free, as we still have to actually complete these challenges, and the biggest obstacle of them was the remote batarang. This thing is nothing like its future self. The Asylum remote batarang is slow, clunky, turns like a semi-truck, and has about as much charge as a AAA battery. And we have to use it to knock down 3 guys in a single throw. I ended up trying to use it a few times at the beginning of the level before deciding screw it and just taking this guy down on the walkway with a sonic batarang and getting the first medal. Meanwhile, attracting a few guys to the single location of his body, giving me free reign of the remote batarang. Heck, I even got a free 4th guy on the ground while I was at it. I line launched to the other side of the room since I was about to be cornered, then went ahead and risked my health to get the final medal. To my surprise, this actually knocked the guys I kicked out, meaning I just had 3 left to deal with. I tried using the back claw but somehow missed and had to run away again. But I got another guy while running away, luring the last 2 towards me. I pulled one off, then finished the other with a surprise attack, clearing the room with all 3 medals. The penultimate challenge was Survival Tactics Extreme, where the challenges are to use a triple batarang to knock down 3 henchmen, use a line launcher to knock 1 thug off the railings, and to punch one of the thugs. And all of these are honestly ridiculously easy. So easy that I got this on my 2nd try. I start by launching over to this guy in the center and getting the first medal right away by launching into him. I do get seen and shot in the process, but it's a small price to pay for this medal. I got scared by the guys going to check him out, so I just ran back to spawn for safety. I then launched over to the left to try and get these guys with a triple batarang, but they split off before I could get anything, and one of them began climbing up. So I looped around to the top corner of the map. I knew thugs would gather around their fallen comrades, so I took one down for free with a sonic batarang without leaving the corner. My assumption was unfortunately wrong, but it didn't matter since there were 3 guys in my sight and I hit them with the multi-batarang, earning the 2nd badge. Since everyone else was out of commission, I decided to get the 3rd medal and just hit this guy and knocked him down on the ground. I tried getting one guy running to his aid with the back claw, but he didn't fall over the ledge, and another guy was getting close. I threw a batarang at him, hoping he wouldn't see me, but he still did and only stumbled from the batarang, meaning I got shot up a little more. I ran to the bottom layer, climbed up to the other side, and got the back claw ready, but wasn't close enough to pull them down. But for one reason or another, they just stood there like a bunch of idiots, allowing me to launch over to this area, which was close enough to pull them down, albeit it took a little waiting and crouching to get them all to the edge. But I was able to do it, and cleared the room with all 3 badges. And last, but certainly not least, is Invisible Predator Extreme, where the challenges are to pull the floor out from 2 thugs using the Ultra Back Claw, appear out of nowhere to surprise a terrified henchman, and pull 3 guys over the ledge at once with the Ultra Back Claw. I start by running in and waiting for this guy to pass and head below. I stay on the stairs for this guy to pass so I can take him down and move forward a little bit quicker. Somehow I got away just before someone finds his body, and I head into the vents to get below the control room. I use the back claw to delete the floor and take these guys down, earning me the 1st badge, and jump back into the vents to get away. I sneak back to the other side of the room, waiting for this guy to head up before climbing up the ladder and reaching this area. I throw a sonic batarang to attract someone to take him down, which will hopefully attract 3 other guys for me to pull off the ledge. Thankfully, exactly that happens. 3 guys go to his body, giving me the perfect situation to pull all of them off, giving me the 2nd badge. Now there's only 1 guy left who needs to know he's the last one to get terrified, so I just wait a little bit for his nerves to kick in. I see him shaking, so I sneak up behind him and wait for him to see me. He gets scared, earning me the final badge and allowing me to take him down. By far the easiest map to complete with the extreme difficulty. And that wraps up Arkham Asylum. As I said, the extreme challenges were mostly easier than their regular counterparts because they disincentivize grappling to begin with. So if you want to do minimum grapples at all, I think a great starting point for learning how to play is Arkham Asylum. Unfortunately, we did miss out on a single medal in this game, meaning our perfect streak comes to an end. But hey, it's only 1. Not like the other games could get much worse, right? Right? Despite my skepticism and general expectation that this would be the hardest, most of the challenges in our Origins were relatively painless. Part of this was due to my lack of experimentation. In all the other games, there were challenges I knew I could complete if I took time to experiment with the environment and work my way around it. In Origins, however, there wasn't that same type of luxury because there's nothing to experiment with. The main driving force of my experiments was the line launcher, which Origins just doesn't have. Combine that with the levels generally being designed around really high vantage points, and there wasn't much for me to do with them if a challenge required me to. So I would just not worry about completing it and get the other two done. In other words, we're missing a lot of medals in Origins. First up is Breaking In, where the challenges are to smash through a weak ceiling to take an enemy down, take down an enemy with a propane tank on the remote claw, and perform a takedown from a floor grate. All relatively painless, and this level is actually incredibly generous as we start from a high vantage point, giving us the perfect opportunity to glide to the other side of the room unnoticed. I used the remote claw to give us a little wire to make the gliding easier and went to the glass ceiling for the first takedown. I hopped in the grates after smashing down to take out a single guy that came running to his aid and nabbed the second medal just like that. I hopped in the grates on the other side to sneak out the vent at the end and temporarily escape. I ended up sneaking all the way around the building until I was upstairs and had the perfect vantage point to hit this guy with the propane tank. Or so I thought, except the claw wouldn't lock onto the propane tank. So I took a slightly different position and used the sonic batarang to lure someone over because I missed getting this guy. I waited for the tank to be behind him so he'd be surprised, fired, and earn the final badge. Then, since I had 3 tether shots left on the remote claw, I just used it to string up the last 3 guys with no issues. Next was Easy Money, and the challenges are to perform a takedown through a vent cover, perform an inverted takedown, and explode a weak wall onto an enemy. Now, you'd assume my criticisms at the beginning of this breakdown that we wouldn't be able to do the inverted takedown. And to that, I say nay. It's actually really easy to do because we spawn at the top of the bank. So we drop onto the vantage point and immediately grab this guy to earn the first medal only 3 seconds in. Then, since we're next to an alcove, we can dip back and hide from the gunshots and reset the thugs to normal. Then, because the designers cared more about the remote claw than every other mechanic, we can use it to make a line between the gargoyles. Albeit, this line is ultimately useless because I just ended up dropping down to hop in the vent here. Unfortunately, none of the thugs were anywhere near the area I'd need to take them down, so I was stuck hiding in there while they surrounded my position. I eventually hopped out and made my way to the other side of the bank to prime this wall to blow. I then snuck around looking for an opportunity before eventually going into the other side of the vent and planting a sonic batarang there, hoping someone would check it out and let me take them down. I hopped back in the vents in hopes that I'd be able to take him down, but was met with disappointment as he just shot at the sonic batarang and didn't even enter the room. I hopped out as he walked away and took cover as he turned back towards me, eventually getting him with a corner takedown. I then decided to take off the other vent cover in hopes that I could get them there with another sonic batarang later. Before I could even use the sonic batarang though, one of the thugs took a hostage, meaning the bottom layer is now off limits to me. But while I was investigating the area, one of the thugs moved towards my prime wall and I blew it up, earning me the second badge. Then, after a little more sneaking around, I climbed up and placed a sonic batarang further into the room, meaning the thug would be forced to walk further in to destroy it. Of course, he didn't do that at first, but after shooting it, he did walk further into the room and allowed me to get the vent takedown and earn the final badge. Now I just had to take down the hostage taker, and the level was won. Just to be safe, I disrupted his gun, but I was able to glide behind him for a silent takedown and win the level. Checking Out is next, and its challenges are to perform a double-ledge takedown, perform an inverted takedown on a thermal enemy, and perform a knockout smash during a silent takedown. Unfortunately, there isn't any way to gain height in this level, and we start on the ground, so performing an inverted takedown is completely out of the question this time. Now, removing one of the challenges doesn't exactly make this room that much easier, because getting the double-edge takedown is still equally as annoying. We can't just grapple underneath these guys to take them out, and for some reason the small amount of ledge that we're able to grab restricts us from moving only a few inches away from the ladder. So we have to climb up to the top level and walk behind them, then since their peripheral vision is terrible, we can climb over the ledge and take them down while they're close enough. Since there were guys below, I climbed back up and took this guy down with a knockout smash, earning me the second and I guess final medal. Then I just had to finish these 3 guys, so I tried to string one up with a remote claw, but got seen and shot in the process. I dropped smoke and took him down with the back claw instead. I then pulled this guy off the ledge before the final guy could reach me, then snuck behind him and knocked him down. Sucks that we could only get 2, but that's what this game gets for having really high gargoyles. Next is Quiet Waters, by far one of the hardest both on regular and extreme. For the challenges, we must sneak behind a pair of enemies for a double takedown, perform a single ledge takedown, and perform a zipline takedown on enemies. Unfortunately, the zipline takedown is also impossible here, as it requires you to use the remote claw to connect 2 vantage points and take an enemy down while walking on it. And once again, the vantage points are way too high in this level to make use of. And even without having to do that one, it still took me a few tries to nail this down. On my winning attempt, I snuck down to the bottom layer to take out these two guys first, since it's basically the only consistent way to get two guys together in this level. Unfortunately, before I could run up and take someone down on this ledge, Joker alerted them and I couldn't get ready in time. So I hid in this grate and just kinda waited around to see what they'd do. All but one ran to their bodies, which left this guy. He kinda just kept staring over the ledge, so I went in from a corner and took him down to earn the other badge. Now I just have to take the last 4 down, starting with this guy, who unfortunately saw me and alerted everyone, meaning they're all going to converge on my location. I still took him down, but I needed to get away fast, so I ran into this vent and just waited out their search phase. Then eventually left and used a glue grenade on this guy. While these two were distracted, I took out one guy with a battering and ground takedown. Unfortunately, those guys somehow saw me, and I tried taking them down with a backclaw, but the game decided to knight me. While they were throwing grenades at me, I ran up to them and used the corner cover to temporarily disable them. I knocked one guy down on the ground with a battering, and took him down, and finished the other guy who I trapped in glue with a smash. Another one down, but unfortunately we miss out on yet another medal. Hopefully this doesn't continue. Next up is Wrecking Crew, and what did I just say, game? The challenges are to perform an inverted takedown through a weak ceiling, take an enemy down with a mine, and use the remote claw to hit an enemy with a fire extinguisher, then take him down in the smoke. Once more, we cannot complete one of these challenges because the vantage points are just too dang high. But, I guess we can get the other two relatively easily. I start by hopping into this grate and taking this guy down loudly, alerting everyone to my presence. I use the lone guy running to me to get a medal by hitting him with a fire extinguisher with the remote claw. Unfortunately, I have to wait for him to stand up since the medal specifically asks for a silent takedown. I patiently wait and take him down before anyone else can arrive. Unfortunately, the smoke from fire extinguishers dissipates really quickly and someone takes a shot at me as I make my getaway. I hopped into the grates while they examined his body and just kinda waited there for a bit. I didn't want to take this guy down since he was being watched, and I wanted him to put a mine down anyway. Thankfully, he did exactly that and I could blow it up just as he set it down. Unfortunately, I was right next to this guy and didn't realize it, so he saw me get into the grates. Apparently, he didn't see enough of me though, because I got the prompt to take him down right away. Since I had to leave the grates anyway, I just took him down too. I took some chip damage from a grenade, but still got away from the other 3 guys. And since I have all 3 remote claw tethers, I just decided to use them. I got 2 guys with no effort, and just punched the 3rd down before he could react. For the 3rd time in a row, only 2 medals were obtainable, so here's hoping we don't have any more inverted takedowns going forward. Last of the regular maps is Hard Time, where we have to take down an enemy using a weak wall, attract an enemy with a sonic battering and take him down, not with the shock battering, that'll come into play later, and perform an inverted takedown on a thermal enemy. Are you kidding me? We'll get to that when we get there. Anyway, we start by hopping in the grates once again to not take this guy out and instead sneak to the other side of the wall so we don't have to worry about alerting him. I sneak into the vents and quickly prime this wall to blow so I can take him out and earn the first badge. I do a bit of sneaking in the grates that unfortunately gets me seen by this guy checking his body, so I need to waste my smoke to avoid dying to this guy. I use the opportunity to take him down and duck into the grates up top to avoid the rest of the guys. I sneak away and throw the sonic battering down to get the other medal. A lone guy comes over and I'm able to silently take him down soon after. I go ahead up top since nobody else was coming up there and see if I could get onto the vantage points, but it wasn't happening. These things are way too high to jump onto, which sucks even though they're right there. Anyway, I glide down to take out this lone guy, then head back up to use the back claw to take out both of these guys. And since there were only 2 left, I go ahead and use the remote claw tether to take them out and finish the room. That's all the normal maps taken care of, but with a whopping 4 medals unobtainable. What's that saying about the extreme challenges coming up? Well, let's find out with Breaking In Extreme, where we must pull an enemy off a walkway with the back claw, take down an enemy from a tightrope, and perform a takedown through a glass window. Now, you'd think the tightrope would be impossible again, but remember, this is Breaking In. Our starting point is right on top of a vantage point, meaning we can connect 2 of them together with the remote claw and perform the takedown like normal. And that's exactly what I did during my winning attempt, which took a few tries but ultimately wasn't super difficult. I of course start by connecting these vantage points and waiting for this guy to walk onto the line, and since I'm on the line, I don't have to worry about the thermal vision getting me. We get a really cool takedown animation that I'd never seen before, but it's unfortunately loud, so everyone is attracted to me. Since I can't grapple away, I glide off the railing to the other side of the station and hide in this corner. I'm able to barely take this guy down without being seen. Seriously, look how close this guy is to seeing me. Then I climb up here to get a better angle to take this guy down with the bat claw. Unfortunately, I can't reach any of his buddies, so I have to run away for now and hide in the grates. But seeing an opportunity to get the jammer guy, I hop out and take him down with the bat claw as well. With half the guys down, I can finally use detective mode again. They're a little distracted, so I take the chance to set up a sonic batarang near a window so I can take someone down to get that last medal. Thankfully, this guy comes alone, so I'm able to get him through the window and earn the last badge. I head into the grates by the elevator, then use the batarang to knock this guy down. Not wanting to risk this guy coming over and seeing me, I run over and take him down instead with a knockout smash. Then I take a corner cover and put this guy in glue just to be safe and knock him out with another smash. Pretty easy start, but we all know what those inevitably lead to. Next is Easy Money Extreme, which did not quite live up to its name. The challenges are to take the armored enemy out first, take an enemy down with a mine, and use explosive gel to send an enemy who just climbed a ladder back to the ground. The mine challenge is nothing, but the other two are seriously difficult. The successful run of this map lasted almost 6 minutes, which is just way too long, even for an extreme map. Since the armor guy pretty much has to be taken out with an obvious takedown, getting rid of him first is a major problem. It's already annoying to do since he's just barely out of the line for an inverted takedown, so I have to go to the ground to do it. I end up going into the grates below him for the takedown, which works, and I actually leave unseen. Since I never set up explosive gel, I had to head up so I could actually do that for that challenge. I ran into the vents to the other side of the bank, but of course a guy was headed my way, so I couldn't make anything out of it. Of course he was a mine guy, so he laid one down and walked the other way, meaning I couldn't even get him with his own mine. Thankfully, it did allow me to leave the grate and head up top. Of course, again, the mine guy went up top himself and placed a mine right in the center of the walkway, meaning I can't get to the other side. So I opted to lay the explosive gel in front of this ladder and hope for the best. I waited around for something to happen, and one guy climbed the ladder to the walkway with the mine, so I blew it up and got the second badge. Not wanting to waste a free takedown, I pull this guy off the ledge before he can check his buddy and hop into the grates again. Of course, nobody climbs the gel-primed ladder, so I just kinda wait in the grates for a bit. I eventually get bored and head back up top, where I move ever so slightly too far into range and get noticed by this guy on the walkway. And right when I do, someone climbs the ladder, but since I don't have auto proximity detonate for some reason, I had to manually blow it. By the time I realized that, it was too late and he was too far along and I had to run. So I ultimately wasted that gel on nothing. I want to go to the other side of the bank from the bottom, but the mine is blocking my way, so I'm just stuck waiting on the stairs. I hang out there for way too long until I finally get a window to move over to the ladder and can place some explosive gel. I knock this guy out in the process, which leads some guys up, but of course, they all avoid the ladder I primed, so I just blow it up and head back to the bottom. Even though I could take any of these guys out, I don't risk doing it because I need the numbers to make sure I get that gel knockdown. I eventually get back over to the ladder they tended to use, gel it, and then use the sonic batarang, hoping the guy close to it on the ground would climb up. Thankfully he does, and this time I can detonate the gel in time and take him down, earning me the third badge. Now I just need to take down the last two, which I do pretty easily, and finally complete this dang map. Next was checking out Extreme, which was relatively easy, if not also really time consuming. The challenges are to take down an enemy with a corner cover takedown, perform a ledge takedown, and perform a takedown through a wooden wall. All these are pretty standard stuff you'd see in normal maps, so what's the catch? Well, there are 7 enemies to take down, pretty standard stuff too, but 4 of them are armored, and 2 of them are snipers right in the middle of the room. These snipers are constantly watching the ground floor, which is exactly where I'm restricted, not being able to grapple and all. Well, let's see how I did. First I went up to this ledge to get one of the snipers and get a challenge at the same time. I waited for a decent bit for him to move since I couldn't get to a better position on the ledge myself, but I eventually got him down with a ledge takedown. Obviously I had to drop down, or else I'd be dealing with a sniper aiming right at me, but dropping down still put me in other goons' sights. So I knocked this guy down with a punch, had to drop smoke to be safe, and knocked him out. I couldn't stick around for long since these guys have thermal vision, so I jumped in the grates and got away. When the smoke and enemies disappeared, I went up to a corner to get a corner takedown on this guy since it can only be done on regular enemies. I then hopped back in the grates since enemies were covering literally everywhere else. After a bit of waiting, this guy walked up to the wooden panel and the sniper wasn't covering this side, so I took him down and got the third badge. Now though, I had to deal with 3 armored enemies without being able to grapple up to any of them. I decided the grates were outliving their usefulness with all these bodies, so I ran into the vents under the stairs instead. I eventually tried to use the backlog to take these guys out, but of course this platform isn't high enough to knock him down. And it's just barely too far away when they reach the top platform. Eventually, after realizing I wouldn't be getting anyone with the backlog from the bottom layer, I make the reluctant decision to climb up. I try pulling this guy off, but of course he only falls on this platform instead of to the ground. Then he kinda glitches out. He's stuck running into this corner for the rest of the encounter, I guess trying to reach his gun, but hey, I'm not complaining. Origins is Origins, and I will not try to change it. I consider taking him down with this barrel, but I realize I could just leave him there for the free final takedown. Instead, I climb up and take this guy down with a fire extinguisher and subsequent beatdown. The fire extinguisher is important, or else the sniper definitely would have seen me and taken me out. Speaking of, I run over to said sniper and take him out with a glue smash. That just leaves the glitch guy, which I take down with another beatdown. Easy 3 medals, if a little bit time consuming. Quiet Waters Extreme is up next, and the challenges are to use a fire extinguisher with the remote claw to silently take down an enemy, slide into an enemy to knock him down on the ground, and take out the jammer enemy last. These are ridiculously hard challenges, so let's hope for the best. Well, considering this map took over 10 minutes to complete, the best clearly did not go down. Well, since I can't use detective mode, I literally have no idea what I'm dealing with for the entire map. I start by heading towards the middle of the room, hoping for a chance to use the fire extinguisher on this guy. Instead, I actually end up doing the slide kick to knock this guy down, but get seen and shot up really bad in the process. I get away, but I've taken a lot of unnecessary damage and jump into the grates, which has really become a running theme, hasn't it? I take this guy down since he's alone to attract some attention away from the center of the room. When the enemies dissipate, I silent take down this guy just to get my knockout count a little bit higher. I still don't actually know how many enemies are in the room, so I'm just hoping I don't get too many to not beat the challenge. After I do, I get this guy with a mine to get it up just a little bit more. I then spend an uncomfortably long time hiding in these grates, just waiting for the enemies to move up to the top level. When they finally do, I make my way up as well. I try to get this guy with a fire extinguisher, but of course it hits a wall and detonates too early, meaning I can't take him out in it. I try to backclaw him inside, but end up making him punch me, which I counter, and that surprisingly knocks him out. Awesome animation, but now I'm another thug short. Knowing I made some noise, I begrudgingly glide back to the bottom layer and get into the grates again. But seeing an opening, I head back up the stairs and wait on the corner for something to happen. Well, something actually does happen. The jammer guy takes the hostage, meaning there's no other way for me to end this encounter. I end up following this guy for what feels like an eternity to get him with the fire extinguisher. But of course, I'm too quick on the draw and accidentally string him up on a gargoyle. Not good. At this point, I have no idea how many enemies are left, and a challenge is still incomplete. After waiting around for just a bit, thinking the jammer guy was the only one left, Joker thankfully chimes in and informs me that there are 2 guys left. Full of relief, I throw a sonic battering near the fire extinguisher to attract a non-jammer guy. This time, I'm a bit more cautious on the draw and make sure he gets hit by the extinguisher. After of course having to wait for him to get up, I silently take him down and am left with only the jammer guy. I try to take as few risks as possible and try to disable his gun, but it strangely doesn't work, so I'm forced to take him down the old-fashioned way. I wait for him to turn around and hop into the grates again, but of course he's never close enough to the grates for an actual takedown. So I wait on the other side of the grates, wait for him to turn, and sneak up on him for the silent takedown. But since he's armored, I have to do a good old-fashioned beatdown to take him out. After a very long time, I was able to get all 3 stars and beat the map. Almost there. The penultimate map is Wrecking Crew Extreme, where you must jam an enemy's gun and take him down when he tries to fire, take down an enemy with a beatdown, and appear out of nowhere to terrify an enemy. Decently easy stuff, so let's get to it. Well, I start by heading to the bottom layer since there's a pretty consistent strategy to get 2 medals instantly. First you disrupt this guy's gun, then hop into the grates to take this armored jammer guy down. Since it's loud, the guy you jammed will run over to you and try to shoot you, but since he's also armored, you have to beat him down anyway. This will earn you 2 badges and you can escape with pretty few scratches. Some guys will see and shoot you just as you finish, but you can drop smoke to get away from them. This allows you to sneak behind one of the lonely guys who I took down with a knockout smash. I hopped in the grates and waited a bit, but then something even weirder happened. One of the guys noticed the guy I beat down, and then everyone was just kind of frozen. The guy didn't leave the body, and the rest of the enemies just didn't move. Once again, Origins just being Origins, I guess. I used this freedom to take this guy down with a ledge takedown since I didn't want to risk him actually seeing me. That unfroze the rest of the guys who ran to his body. The guy on the previous body unfortunately climbed up the ladder, but I hit him off the edge for another takedown. Moments before they could see me, I hid in the grates and took out one lone guy with a takedown. I got behind this corner and glued this guy to temporarily incapacitate him and actually got seen by his buddy. Thankfully he stumbled, which got me the last medal and didn't get me shot. I beat him down and then took his buddy out with a glue smash. All 3 badges and in record time too. Last but certainly not least, we have Hard Time Extreme, where the challenges are to use a sonic shock batarang to take down an enemy, smash through a weak ceiling to take an enemy out, and disarm an enemy with a back claw and take him down. Now, here's the thing. On this save file, I had completed the entire main story and side missions, excluding the Dark Knight challenges. And one of the rewards for completing these challenges is the sonic shock batarang. At this point in time, I had basically no way to unlock this upgrade that wouldn't require me to start a brand new save. So I can't actually complete this challenge because I don't have the upgrade. But here's the thing. I know I would be able to do it with absolutely no effort. It's the sonic shock batarang. It's an item I use all the time to take out difficult enemies. So frankly, not being able to use it is more of a challenge than the one proposed. So while I can't technically get this challenge, let it be known that I very easily would've if I had the upgrade. So despite technically missing a medal, I got all of them. Speaking of, here's the rest of the level. I start by climbing up this ladder to take both of these guys out with a double ledge takedown. They're both armored, so this is a great move, even if it doesn't get you any medals. I run to the other side and climb up when the coast is clear. I try to get this guy with a ledge takedown too, but his buddy somehow sees me and takes a huge chunk out of my health. I end up wasting my smoke and climbing up top to get away, where I was ready for the glass takedown, but they move out before I can. I instead use the remote claw tether to string the last 2 regular goons up for free, since I can't use it on armored guys anyway. I pull this armored guy off the edge with the back claw, which actually counts toward the challenge, so that's nice. Just then, somebody takes the hostage in the center of the room, giving me the perfect opportunity for the glass takedown. Thankfully, everyone else is away, so I can wait in this corner for them to climb up, and at the same time, glue this guy out of my way. This guy ends up staring right at me, but he's thankfully terrified, so he stumbles instead of shooting me. I beat him down, glue smash his buddy, and the room is won. Holy heck in a handbasket, this game was ridiculous. We lost out on a total of 4 medals, all because of takedowns that require vantage points. But man, was this one fun. There were tons of unique scenarios I wouldn't have without taking away the grapple gun, and I had a ton of fun with this game. It's a real shame we lost out on so many medals, all because the vantage points are too high, but honestly, with all of those being directly tied to gargoyles, I have pretty high confidence for Arkham City. Pretty much the main reason we couldn't reach some of these gargoyles is because Origins doesn't have the line launcher. As we all know, City definitely has that gadget, so I'm pretty confident we can overcome these challenges if they show up in City. Well, only one way to find out. By far, the hardest game to complete was the one that started this challenge in the first place. Arkham City took me so unbelievably long that I had to split it into 2 different days worth of recording. I got all but one map completed in about 2 hours on a night off. The next morning, I started it back up and didn't complete that single map for nearly another hour. These maps are ridiculously hard compared to the other games, even though City has the most movement options after night. That said, that makes it by far the most interesting game in this challenge, and one I am more than happy to break down. Let's get into it! First up is Meltdown Mayhem, where our first challenges are to take down an enemy in a smoke cloud, knock an enemy down with a batarang, then finish him on the ground, and shoot an enemy with the wreck gun to make him scare a buddy. Pretty diverse set of challenges, but none that explicitly require the grapple gun, so let's go! After a pretty decent amount of time of waiting, because I needed a good lay of the land, I end up bataranging and knocking this guy down, after the ground takedown bugged a bit and almost let him get up, which still earned me the first badge. Not having anywhere to go, I hop in the grates and let the henchmen surround his body. But they don't really investigate and instead group up pretty far away, allowing me to hop out, climb up, and hit one of them with the rec gun, earning me the second badge just like that. While they were grouped up, I threw smoke and took one guy down to earn the final badge. The smoke was dissipating though, so I ran away before being able to take another guy down, but still got shot at, so I had to run further. I got one guy with the bat claw as his buddy jumped down to investigate, so I ran away yet again. I knocked him down with a battering and ground takedown, then just took some shots from the last guy since I was at full health. Took him down and easily earned all 3 badges. Next is Police Brutality, where you must explode a weak wall onto a henchman, use a knockout smash during a silent takedown, and perform a takedown through a glass window. Not a glass ceiling like I originally thought, a window specifically. Anyway, I start by heading over to the other side of the map to prime this wall to blow, then run away and blow it to get the first badge just like that. I sneak around to get this guy with a silent takedown, and get the knockout smash since nobody else is around. I hop in the grates to get away, and place a sonic battering next to the window to ensure I can get that takedown. For one reason or another, the guys don't approach it and instead shoot it from their buddy's body. Thankfully, it doesn't even matter, and one of the guys ends up walking in front of the window anyway. As his buddy walks out of sight, I take him down to earn the 3rd badge. The other guy is apparently Sonic as he runs into the room at lightning speed and spots me, so I run out of the room and drop my smoke, getting this guy with the back claw slam in the process. I still get shot at, but then the guy decides to stop shooting me and run out of the room himself for some reason. I don't even let him and instead backclaw him through the window, which somehow makes him trip through the window without breaking the glass. I have no idea what sense that makes, but I ignore it and take him down regardless. All 3 badges just like that, easy peasy. Next is Natural Selection, where the challenges are to jam an enemy's gun, then take him down when he tries to fire, glide kick a henchman, then take him down on the ground, and perform a double-ledge takedown. While the first one barely constitutes a challenge, the double-ledge takedown and glide kick are absolutely brutal for this early of a level. Here's the thing, there's only one consistent spot for a double-ledge takedown, and that's right on the bridge in the center of the room. These guys will only be here at the beginning of the encounter, meaning getting this takedown first is a must. The bridge is one of the worst places to get this takedown though, as there's only one place you can get on the ledge without grappling. And wouldn't you know it, it's right next to the thugs. The only way to do this is to sneak up on the thugs, then drop smoke to disorient them. Climb over the ledge and wait for the smoke to dissipate, then you'll be granted the use of the double-ledge takedown. Otherwise, you'll only be able to do a single-ledge takedown. Thankfully, if the one guy really close to them doesn't take notice, you can take them down without getting seen and drop down. I try to set up something for the glide kick, but we'll get to that later. I do some sneaking on the bottom layer before eventually throwing a sonic battering to attract someone. I end up attracting this guy, so I think I can set up a glide kick with him. Now, here's the thing with that challenge. We don't have gargoyles, so there are very few places available for a glide kick. The only elevation we have are almost always watched by enemies, or don't provide enough room for the game to register a glide kick over a drop attack. Glide kicks will only be available if the enemy is a certain distance from Batman, and most of the ledges we have available don't meet that distance criteria. Thankfully, what I actually set up did. I waited on the staircase less used by enemies for the guy I attracted to walk into view. He eventually moved close enough, allowing me to kick his face and knock him down. Difficult stuff out of the way, and without getting shot at all. Okay, one guy did see and shoot me, but I ran away to make him follow me toward a more secure location. I jammed his gun and took him down, earning me the 3rd badge, but getting pretty heavily shot up in the process. I batteringed one guy down, then got his buddy with the bat claw before taking both of them down with ground takedowns. A very brutal set of challenges, and we're only halfway through the regular maps. What's that say about what's to come? Next is End of the Line, which requires us to use the line launcher to knock an enemy off a ledge, appear out of nowhere to terrify a henchman, and perform an ice smash takedown. This one took a while, but I was eventually able to get it down. I start by heading up to the left to take this guy down with a silent takedown. As Riddler alerts everyone to my presence, I freeze this guy on the walkway and smash him down for the 1st badge. While hiding to get some heat off me, one of the guys saw me and alerted everyone else, so it was time to run. I eventually circled around the entire room since they all converged on one spot. Then I used this lone guy to get the line launcher takedown and actually escaped without anyone seeing me. That was the challenge I was most concerned about, so glad I could get it easily. While they searched for me, I got one guy with a sonic shock batarang, leaving only 2. They would eventually become terrified, but I needed it to be a little faster or else one of them was going to take the hostage. Of course, they don't get terrified, and one of the guys takes the hostage. So I use the disruptor on his gun to put him out of commission in case I make a mistake. Somehow, just throwing a batarang on the ground is enough to make them terrified, so that's good. And just to be safe, I sneak up and take out the hostage taker first while the other guy wanders around. Then I walk up behind him and wait for him to turn around, get the final medal, then beat him down to win the map. A little difficulty with that line launcher, but nothing super long. What's next? That would be Lost City, where the challenges are to perform a great takedown, pull an enemy off a walkway with the back claw, and perform a takedown through a wooden wall. Standard stuff, so let's get to it. Well, considering it took over 6 minutes, it really wasn't all that easy. I start off by disappointing Obi-Wan and giving up the high ground, heading to the bottom where I have to avoid 3 enemies and can duck into the grates. I then wait for this one guy to walk over and can get him to earn the first badge. I hop back into the grates as the enemies surround my position, and literally the entire squad gathers around his body. Why? I end up waiting for a full minute for them to dissipate, and consider using the sonic batarang to lure someone over and get the wall takedown. I realize that's stupid, so I instead go to the other wall and place it there. I get worried that this guy who investigates isn't going to move close enough, but he thankfully does after shooting the device, and I'm able to get the second medal. Of course, literally everyone rushes down again, meaning I have to wait for them all to leave, again. I consider going for some backclaw takedowns, but nobody is close enough for me to get, so in a daring move, I start heading up. Someone sees me, but I battering him down before he can do anything. I try to climb up here, but I'm somehow locked out of doing so this guy is able to get up and call up my location. I somehow escape by just crawling away and try to get a back claw, but still can't reach. I eventually get a lock on someone, but he's in such a terrible position that I can't pull him over the ledge. And I get seen. I drop smoke as they surround me, but one of the guys has thermal vision, so I get scared and take out a lone guy outside of the smoke. I'm still not able to get one of these guys off the ledge, so I'm getting really angsty here. Eventually, one of the guys leans over the edge, and I'm able to backclaw him off, earning me the final badge, meaning I can finally go ham on these guys. And by that, I mean hide away as they surround me again and wait for them to go on their own. I knock one guy down with a batarang and take him down. His buddies take forever to investigate, so I take one down with the same batarang ground combo. Then just one left, and I take him down with a simple beatdown. It took forever, but I finally got this map done with all 3 badges. Finally, we have Top of the World, where the challenges are to batarang a fire extinguisher and silently take down an enemy inside, disarm a henchman, then take him down, and detonate a mine to take an enemy down. Of course, this level takes place on Wonder Tower, one of the most difficult areas to begin with. But this one actually wasn't too bad. The same cannot be said about the extreme level. Anyway, since I have nowhere else to go, I remove this grate and head inside the tower. Not really having a plan, I head onto the ledge outside and start shimmying around. Since I still didn't have a plan, I pulled this guy off the ledge and attracted some of his buddies. I shimmy along to the next ledge and climb inside since nobody's around. One of the guys put down a mine, so I took the opportunity to blow him up and get the first badge. Nobody explores the ledge, so I just hang out there until something happens. Nothing happens though, so I throw a sonic batarang near this fire extinguisher to attract someone. While he's distracted, I sneak into the room and batarang the fire extinguisher to smoke up the room. I take him down with a knockout smash, which actually gets me the badge. Guess I didn't need to be so careful back in Origins, did I? Since there's still some smoke left, I can pull this guy over with the back claw to rid him of his weapon. It actually smacks him into the walls, so I don't need to go through with the slam, and can take him down on the ground. I knock his buddy down that was shooting at me as the final guy finally makes it over here. I go ahead and backclaw him too, and can take him out with a beatdown. So, not too bad for the final regular level. What about the extreme maps? Well, you want to know how hard these maps were? The recording of all 6 regular maps was 36 minutes, so an average of about 6 minutes per map. The recordings, plural, for the extreme maps ran nearly 3 hours long. These extreme maps are by far the most difficult maps in the series. For comparison, the total recording time for Origins, Knight, and Asylum combined is just over 3 hours. That is how unbelievably brutal these challenge maps are. Let me show you how bad they are, starting with Meltdown Mayhem Extreme, where the challenges are to take out the armored enemy first, explode a weak ceiling onto an enemy, and perform a takedown through a vent cover. These don't seem too bad at first glance, but believe you me, they are freaking brutal. Well, except for taking out the armored enemy, who I actually just take out immediately with a sonic batarang.
Little did I know how much that would hurt me going forward. There is only one weak ceiling in this level, above the interrogation room where the doctor was held back in story mode. And might I just say how unbelievably annoying it was to reach there. I'll get there after also ranting about how there are only 3 vent covers in this level, 2 of which are right next to each other. I end up running in through this side because thugs are a lot less likely to go down here without influence than the one by the office. Anyway, there's only one way up this level, and that's by grappling. So I have to use the line launcher while this guy's throwing grenades at me. I make it up, but now have one of the most difficult climbs in no grapple history. For one reason or another, Batman just likes to drop from the wire without my input. I end up spending way too much time in this shaft just trying to get up here. It's a wonder these guys didn't hear all the clacking of the line launcher and investigate this area. Eventually, I can find just the right angle to jump to this ledge, which lets me launch against this wall. Seems counterproductive, but I can jump between this ledge and the chains a few times to finally make it up. I spray gel on the ceiling and head back out. Would have been nice if I had the sonic batarang, but why would I need to use that gadget here? I can rely on RNGesus for situations like this. Help me. I try throwing batarangs against the vent covers hoping someone would eventually investigate, but they can never hear it, so I eventually stop. Seeing an opportunity for a free takedown, I gel this wall and blow it up to take this guy down. I hide behind this corner because of course there's a buddy with him, but of course they're idiots and can't see my line launch back up. I'm glad this ledge is at least consistent. At this point, I'm really desperate for this ceiling takedown, so I get rid of one of the remaining vent covers loudly, hoping someone would hear, but they don't, so I go for the sniper with a knockout smash instead. This time they're close enough to hear the battering inside the office, so I duck back into the vents and wait for someone to come inside. I get scared because they stop just short of the ceiling when someone calls out the sniper's body, but someone thankfully runs into the sound of my batarang, so I can finally take him down with the explosion and get my second badge. But of course, right as I do, someone was at the vent able to be taken down. I miss him by a hair and can't get the takedown. I throw some more batarangs since they're in range, then do something just... Why did I bother doing this? I throw a remote control batarang through the vent, then directed it to hit the fire extinguisher outside. It didn't even do anything for me except waste time stumbling the guys. When the smoke finally dissipates, I throw another batarang at the vent to try attracting this guy. I didn't even care that I was about to be shot to hell. I finally got that vent takedown. Thankfully, I only took a single shotgun blast, then punched this guy down and dropped some smoke and took him down. The other guys were moving in, so I took out the guy already on the walkway with a batarang, followed by a slide and ground takedown. Then the last guy had just climbed a ladder, so I took him down with the back claw. Not so easy 3 badges, but I was able to get through it. Next was Police Brutality Extreme, which introduced so many challenges that are just the bane of my existence. We have to perform a reverse ledge takedown, perform an inverted takedown through a glass ceiling, and we have to do all of this while taking the jammer enemy out last. This challenge left me with multiple failed attempts, but the winning one was honestly genius, if I do say so myself. You'd think the inverted takedown is impossible, but you'd be sorely mistaken. This map starts at a high vantage point, making this challenge completely free. Kinda. It isn't as simple as gliding or line launching to the gargoyle. They're just that little bit too high for Batman to reach. Instead, we have to bring back a trick from the original challenge run. Remember how we couldn't leave Wonder City because the gargoyles were just a bit too high? Well, the solution we used for that works perfectly here too. We start the level by launching out of the room, then launching perpendicular to this vantage point. As we pass under it, which you can determine by looking across the room at the other vantage point, launch again and Batman will climb onto the point. If you time this right, you can get the inverted takedown and glide to the other side of the room just like that. Remember, you can't use detective mode because of the jammer enemy, so seeing thugs might be a little difficult. I hid in this area next to the stairs, hoping this thug would walk beneath me for the reverse ledge takedown. That didn't happen, so I got scared when this guy started walking towards me. Thankfully, he walked right by me, and after a little more waiting, I placed a sonic batarang right below the ledge. I got the reverse ledge takedown, but somehow got shot by someone I couldn't even see, losing a big chunk of health. I dropped smoke and got away into the grates. As the thugs recuperated, I got one guy with the grate takedown and hopped back in. I pass up taking this guy out because I have no idea where his buddies are and have too low of health to risk it. As they assess the damage, I take one lone guy out and somehow I'm able to run away scot-free. As I hide upstairs, I nullify the jammer for a few seconds using the remote electrical charge, which shows me that I only have 3 guys left. I waste a little time by freezing this guy, then eventually take away these guys' guns with the magnet. Unfortunately, it's kind of a waste, as they're able to get new guns in no time, and one of them shoots me as I try to take him down. Thankfully, I'm able to get him without his buddies seeing me, leaving me with just 2. I drop down and hide in the grates, attracting their attention with a freeze blast. This gives me the perfect opportunity to take this guy down with the grates, leaving me with just the jammer guy. He still hasn't fixed the jammer for some reason, but I'm not complaining. I take him down, earning the final badge and winning the map. Next is Natural Selection Extreme, where the challenges are to use explosive gel to disorient an enemy grabbing a weapon from a crate, perform an inverted takedown on a thermal enemy, and use the shockwave attack on 2 or more henchmen. An absolutely brutal set of challenges that I somehow got on my first try. Once again, you'd think the inverted takedown would be impossible, but this is one of the few maps where we can reach the gargoyles. You'll see how in a bit. First, let's see what I actually did. I took about a minute of sneaking around the bottom floor before finally going upstairs. There were quite a few enemies around my position, meaning I couldn't just rush it, and there was a sniper in the middle walkway, so one side was always off limits to me. After contemplating taking some of these guys down, I opt not to and actually end up finding a weapons crate. I lay some explosive gel there for later as a pair of guys start climbing the stairs towards me. Since I really still don't have a plan, I pull the sniper off the balcony with a backclaw for my first takedown. I didn't really have a way to make it to the center of the room, so I tried line launching from this point. But I totally messed up and Batman didn't cling to the rail. I ended up falling all the way back to the bottom layer, but thankfully didn't get seen. Needing to get up fast, I silently took this guy down and went up the stairs. I saw the perfect opportunity for a medal, so I used the backclaw to disarm this guy, making him run for the weapon crate, even though his gun fell 2 inches from his feet. I blew it up as he grabbed the gun, earning me the first badge. But everyone was converging on my location, so I had to run to the bottom again. Thankfully, everyone starts running, so I was able to get back up to the top. Since everyone was converging on the body I took out earlier, I thought I could run to the walkway with no issues. I was wrong, and had to duck back before they could see me. One of the guys set down a mine, so I went ahead and took him down with it right away, but had to duck back again since I was in the open. But the thugs actually didn't go for his body, and I was able to go forward with my plan. I used the classic line launcher redirect trick to get onto the gargoyle, so I could eventually get the inverted takedown. Thankfully, my takedown escapades left me with 2 thermal guys, so the challenge was still a go. Doubly thankfully, the gargoyles in this room are really close together, so I can glide between most of them without issue. Eventually, I threw a sonic battering beneath this gargoyle so the thermal enemy would walk below it. I took him down and glid to a different gargoyle to avoid enemy fire. I waited for them to be less panicked and eventually went for the dive bomb, but I was too close to the gargoyle and grabbed onto it instead. I threw a freeze cluster for honestly very little reason and tried to glide to the other gargoyle, but it wouldn't let me go for some reason. So I opted to just sit on this ledge while I wait for the sonic battering to recharge. I threw it down and hung out on the balcony, for some reason not detonating the battering, and instead used the line launcher to get onto another gargoyle. But I missed and had to do some quick thinking to not get shot. I fired to the other side of the room where thankfully the guy I lured down didn't go back up. I climbed on the display case and used it to get onto this gargoyle. By some stroke of luck, all 3 enemies converged together, allowing me to glide over to them and use the shockwave to knock them all down, earning me the final badge. I took 2 down on the ground and got the final with a battering ground takedown. A miraculous first try, but a long and difficult one at that. Next is End of the Line Extreme, where the challenges are to shoot an armored henchman with a rec gun to send him over an edge, send a goon that climbs a ladder flying back down, and take out the jammer enemy last. A relatively average difficulty set, but there's a catch. This is another brutal challenge that I ultimately had to beat by just cheesing it. And you want to know why I had to cheese it? Because there are 8 enemies here, standard stuff, but they're all armored. There's a jammer guy and 2 snipers. What were the designers on thinking this level was okay? Because I'll tell you something, this is taking the extreme moniker a little too far. Since I had so many attempts, I had begun to develop a generally consistent strategy for getting everyone. I start by running over to the right side of the map and sneaking my way into the vents on the other side. This slightly gets someone's attention, but not enough to get me shot, thankfully. I use the vents to get to this train car, waiting for this guy to drop down and climb up to this sniper. I avoid his sightline and get behind him, then shoot him with the rec gun to take him down and get the first badge. Then I use the backlaw to take 2 guys down from the walkway, but one of them kinda glitches out and just doesn't want to fall over. After the 3rd pull, I get him down, but that could have gone way worse. Thankfully, this area is pretty much invulnerable to enemies. They have no idea where I am because I guess their AI interprets this area as a completely separate room most of the time. So I'm always concealed. I sneak out a bit to place a sonic battering on this ladder, along with some explosive gel to send someone flying eventually. Unfortunately, I'm just barely too late on the draw, and he doesn't go flying off the edge like I expect. But I use the opportunity to shoot him off the ledge with the rec gun instead to increase my knockout count. Someone sees me, but they can't do anything about it because, seriously, this hiding spot is busted. Also, today I learned that the rec gun actually disables the thermal goggles as well.
What the hell's wrong with these things? Someone cover me while I fix my goggles.
I didn't know this and only found out when this guy mentioned he needed to fix them. That's cool. I then shoot the jammer enemy to finally use my detective vision and take another guy down with a backclaw just because I can. And of course, even though they know my location, they can't find me. And guys, did I mention how broken this spot is? I try using the sonic battering again to lure a guy up the ladder, this time for some reason thinking I could use the rec gun to knock him down instead of explosive gel. Well, the guy climbs the wrong ladder and I shoot him off, obviously not earning me the medal. I run down to try and place gel again, but get seen and shot in the process. I shoot this guy with the rec gun, not at all thinking about the ramifications of such an action, but it actually doesn't knock him out when he goes over the edge. I thank the heavens and get back in my hiding spot. I stupidly shoot this guy with the rec gun, leaving only the jammer guy left, meaning I have to knock him off the ladder with explosive gel. He sees me while I climb up, thankfully not shooting me since he's terrified, and I hide just over this little lip so he can't see me watching him. Then he just stands at this ladder for a while, maybe glitched out, I don't know, but I threw a batarang at the ground to scare him out of it. He jumped down, so I threw the sonic batarang at the top of the ladder again, then shot him with the rec gun, which thankfully earned me the final 2 badges. Seriously, that level is ridiculous even without the grapple restrictions. But you want to know what's even more ridiculous? The other 2 levels we still have! Next is Lost City Extreme, where the challenges are to kick one guard with the line launcher, then fire in a new direction to kick another one, use a boosted remote batarang to knock a guard over the edge, and not take any damage throughout the entire encounter. This map took over an hour to beat, all because of the stupid batarang challenge. And I guess the no damage part, but the batarang was more infuriating. Just look at how many resets I did to get this stupid challenge. It is one of the most poorly designed and infuriating challenges I've had to do for these games. Look at how precise you need to be to get this challenge. And remember, I'm playing this on a nearly 10-year-old Xbox 360. Precision is not the name of this controller, and you literally have to get this first or else you're basically never going to get the chance to do it again. But don't take this time to rest, because your work has just begun and you need to act fast. When this armored guy walks into view, freeze him so he won't interrupt you when you get the line launcher medal. But get discouraged when you realize nobody's on the top row now, so you can't even get it, and another enemy knocks him out of the ice. Wait a little longer and freeze this guy, get scared that someone's scanning your gargoyle, but remember you have thermal immunity. Glide down when this guy goes away, pull out the line launcher, and hope and pray that this guy won't see you. As luck would have it, he starts scanning the gargoyle so I can kick him and his frozen buddy, then sneak around everyone before eventually just falling to the bottom. I waste smoke because of course I fall right into this guy's sight lines and accidentally use the grapple but drop it right away so the challenge is still valid. Please do not come at me for this. This map was unbearable. I climb into the grates and now we see why this run took over 8 minutes to complete. I run to the other side here to get this guy on the wall, but he moves right as I get to him. Why? thankfully, he gets in front of the other wall, so I go over there and use a remote batarang to knock this guy down so he won't shoot me. I take him down and hop back in the grates to escape. I contemplate getting this guy investigating, but I'd been at this for so long that I didn't even want to risk it, especially since this would mean compromising my primary hiding spot. As such, I don't take this other guy down until he's far away from the middle of the grates, giving me ample room to avoid the other guy's sight lines. And of course, someone takes a hostage, meaning my already limited area of movement has become even more limited. But I guess it means I have one less enemy to worry about in the moment, so I'll take what I can get. I throw the sonic batarang into the open, but this freaking bastard shoots it instead of investigating. I do some more sneaking and eventually disrupt the hostage taker's gun, so I won't have to worry about that failing me anytime soon. In fact, since he poses no threat to the hostage, I just go ahead and freeze him. But I still want to take absolutely no risk, so I don't even go upstairs to try anything. I even refreeze him to make sure he doesn't break out without me knowing. I also had quite a few experiences with enemies looking over the ledge and sniping me out of nowhere, so I am very cautious when leaving my little bunker. I throw the sonic batarang on these stairs, then try to refreeze the guy just to be safe, but when I do it, I miss the throw and he thaws out. I duck into the grates and detonate the sonic batarang to get this guy finally, and I'm left with only 2. The disrupted guy starts walking upstairs, so I throw some batarangs to attract him back down. He comes right to me and I can take him down for free. That just leaves 1. I don't even leave the bunker and get back in the grates. I take a corner cover as he gets down and use a remote batarang to knock him down since he's out of range for a regular one. But he got up fast, so I take cover again and get the disruptor ready. It took a bit for him to get into range, and my heart was racing a million miles an hour. But he eventually started walking away, so I took the risk and snuck behind him for the silent takedown, earning me the final badge and completing this absolute hell of a challenge map. But would you believe me that this was only the first layer of hell? Because this last map was a literal inferno even Dante wouldn't step foot in. Last, but certainly not least, is Top of the World Extreme, where the challenges are to take down a guard with a beatdown, shoot an armored enemy with the rec gun to send him flying into another enemy, and use the freeze cluster to freeze 3 or more enemies. Wait, that's it? These challenges aren't difficult, so what gives? What made this map in particular a literal inferno I will never re-enter? Well, the same thing that normally makes this level so hard. The environment. Even without Strange alerting the guards where we are, Wonder Tower is one of the most difficult areas in the game. Not being able to grapple only makes an already difficult area all the harder. There are so few areas to hide, and even if you do find somewhere to hide, you can't exactly do anything because all the hiding spots are incredibly limited in their spacing. The winning run of this map took 10 freaking minutes. Sure, that seems short, all things considered, but that makes this the second longest I took to complete any of these game's maps, and the longest period for City specifically. Alright, enough rambling about how hard this map supposedly was. Let me show you how it inevitably went down. Just like on the regular version of this map, there's nowhere for me to go except through these vents, so I pull off the cover and hop in immediately. By now, I developed a somewhat consistent strategy for getting at least one medal. I get into the room and hop out of the grates immediately, climb up the ladder, and take cover around this corner. I prep the freeze cluster, wait for this guy to get near the other 2, and throw the cluster to freeze all 3 of them, earning the first badge. Of course, since they're not actually frozen, they know my location and start shooting at me while the rest of the guys surround me. I sneak down the stairs around these 2 guys and use the rec gun to knock the armored jammer guy into this guy and earn the second badge just like that. And of course, I don't really have anywhere to go, so I sneak onto the balcony and hang over the edge. Now, you may have noticed, I already have 2 badges less than a minute in, so what gives? Well, notice that I haven't taken down a single enemy, they all know I'm here, and I'm outside. Well, there are some ways to get inside, one of which is this little alcove here, which leads to some grates on the top layer. These grates would be helpful if they offered any cover whatsoever. I want to take this guy down with his own mind, but I know from previous experience that if I leave the grates at all, he will see and shoot me. So I have to just casually wait as he slowly walks away so I can try to knock him off the edge with the rec gun. Of course, I miss and end up shooting this wall, so I try sneaking around and shooting him again, but he dodges like he's freaking Neo, so I have to duck back into the grates and go back outside. I sneak around on the ledges for a bit when I see this guy placing a mine down, and hop up to take him out with it. He sees and shoots at me a bit, but I thankfully take no damage and can get away with no consequences. I consider going back for a ledge takedown, but there's 3 guys all looking over the edge, so I really can't. I consider going for this guy on the balcony, but I can't see anything since the jammer guy exists, so I don't risk it. I end up literally climbing around the whole tower until I'm back at this balcony and can take this guy down with a ledge takedown. I climb over to this ledge and head inside, assuming most of the enemies will be focused on their downed buddy. I throw a sonic battering on the balcony and head into the alcove, taking this guy down with a shock once I'm hidden. This wasn't really the best move since he wasn't armored, so it's kind of a waste on him. I try something stupid to get this guy, stunning him with the cape, then shocking him with the wreck, even though neither is particularly helpful, and just hop back in the grate before anyone can see me. I did get to use detective mode for a split second, and I can see there are 5 guys left, only one of them actually armored. I climb around the whole tower again, eventually dropping back onto the service hatch I spawned on so I could get inside unnoticed. This was not a very smart move because it means I'll have to exit the grates inside to even get back on the outside ledge. But this was probably the safest way to get back inside, so I just took it. I wait a long time for someone to come to the grates, but nobody does. So I wait for the safest opportunity to leave the grates and, you guessed it, get back on the ledge. And I opt to head back into the top level grates because what else am I gonna do? Someone is actually close enough for me to take down, so I take the opportunity, then split. I hang out on this balcony, hoping I could do something, but nobody even walks close to the area. So I just get back on the ledge and start climbing. The jammer guy actually comes out to one of the balconies, so I wait for him to turn around and can get him with a ledge takedown. With only 3 guys left, I can finally use detective mode and am so much safer because of it. Since I know I'll be safe, I walk inside and take this guy down with the mine, hiding from his buddy while I do it. I knock him down with a battering, ground takedown, and my heart is racing. 1 guy left, and I just need to beat him down. He sees me as I take down his buddy, so I dive away and wait for him to climb up. He shoots me as I get close to him, but I'm thankfully at full health, so I can stun and beat him down, earning me the final badge and finishing top of the world extreme. And do you know what that means? I was able to get every single challenge medal in Batman Arkham City without using the grapple gun. And by God, this game was absolutely insane. So many difficult challenges culminated together to create one of the most gratifying experiences I've had playing these games. Despite the insane challenge these provided, I've got to give one major prop to City. Its challenges were always creative and extremely unique. All the other games either had really basic challenges most of the time, or had a lot of repeats that made them less memorable. Arkham City had unique enemy layouts and unique challenges along with them, creating an incredibly dynamic set of challenge maps that I absolutely loved, even if my language left behind in the recording process would say otherwise. If you don't want to dedicate yourself to a full minimum grapples playthrough of City, absolutely give these challenge maps a shot. Or heck, give all the other challenge maps a shot. Even if they aren't as crazy as City, they are certainly more worth your time than playing through the other games. And that concludes Minimum Grapples, chaps. Thanks so much for sticking with me through this wild adventure. Obligatory small number of viewers actually being subscribed, so consider doing so. But until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later, chaps.